Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today we're going to go over the tones for the song Closer by Brandon Lake. This is a bit of an older one, and I don't know that you're necessarily going to do it in church, but it's got some great tones, and they're very versatile and useful for tons of stuff. For the cover video, I used my pedal board with a dual amp setup on my HX Stomp. And so I'm running my compressor, and I've just got it with a little bit of sustain. The sustain is just above 9 o'clock, and then level is just slightly above unity. And then the always on drive is going to be my carbon by Browne Amplification. And that one, the drive is just above 9 o'clock. And then the level is just slightly above unity. I like to kind of push a little bit above unity with each thing. And then I kick on the ODR-1 for the instrumental at the end. And then on the HX Stomp, I have my effects loop first in the blocks. And I did that because the optical trem was getting a little bit too washed out, having that go into the delay and reverb. So I have that after. And then on my Stomp, I have a noise gate just to keep any hiss from happening from that effects loop. It doesn't really matter for stuff I'm doing here. I don't think it hisses much, but on the stage on Sundays it does. So I just leave it in, and then I'm splitting into two US Super Vibes, set up a little bit different, and then each with their own cab. One's mic'd with the Dynamic 57 and the other with the Dynamic 7, and then a simple EQ to bump the holy mid-range. The signal chain for the HX Stomp is the Deluxe Comp, and I've got that compression, the threshold somewhere between -30 and -25, and then at 4:1. I think I run it at 70%, and then whatever I do with the level is just to get it slightly above unity. And that's going into an heir apparent. And I have that set up always on with a light bit of drive. And then I set up the drive and the level on foot switch 1 to kick on for that lead boost. And then we're going into the transistor tape delay, the dynamic hall reverb, and then the, that optical trem. Then we're going into a single US Super Vibe. And then that one has a dual cab. And it's mic'd up with the 57 on one side, the 7 on the other. And then the simple EQ to bump that holy mid-range. The signal chain for the Helix is similar with the Deluxe Comp into the ODR-1. So since I've got more blocks and more DSP, I've got room. So I'm adding that ODR-1 into the heir apparent. Then we're going into the volume pedal. From there, we're going into the transistor tape delay, the dynamic hall reverb, and the optical trem. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I build out the presets on the HX Stomp for getting the ambient stuff all set up, the drives all set up. And then if I'm able to do more stuff on the Helix, which I am, so since I'm able to do more stuff on the Helix, when I transfer that over, I add whatever extra things I can. Like on the Stomp for this one, I couldn't include the ODR-1, but I could on the Helix. But the delay settings and the reverb settings, tremolo, all that's the same. Even the amp settings are the same. And so that's coming out of the optical trem into two US Super Vibes. And then those each have their own cab. And then one's mic'd up with the Dynamic 7. One's mic'd up with the Dynamic 57. And then the simple EQ at the end to bump the holy mid-range. I've got the snapshot set up on the HX Stomp, just SS1, SS2, SS3. And then I have that boost set up on foot switch 1. And then the optical trem is set up on foot switch 2. So if you wanted to add that for any of the snapshot 3 sections, it's not programmed in there that way, but you can add it. And then on the Helix, it's set up with SS1, SS2, SS2 plus OD, adding that prize drive, SS3, and SS3 plus trem. I'll be running through the preset on my pedalboard rig with that dual amp setup, and also on the Helix, and I'll be using the Tele Custom, my Gretsch, and that PRS. All right, let's hear it. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. If you'd like the resources for this song, you'll find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.